Howdy everyone, Ellen Weatherholt here at the Tulsa Botanic Garden, and I am in our gift shop around our seeds, which is one of my favorite places because I do love seeds. So right now we are filming, it is mid-July, and we are filming these videos because it is time to plant again. So because of our location here in Tulsa, we have a really intense summer, and you may be thinking, what are you even talking about? How can we plant right now? So this is a great time to think about starting your fall crops. So some fall crops can be direct sown over the next about month and a half into the end of August. So between mid-July and the end of August is our window for our fall crops. So those are things like root vegetables like carrots, radishes, parsnips, rutabagas, kohlrabis. There's also greens, things like kale, lettuces, and endives, however you say that, fancy green, and then lots of other like bok choys and things like that of that nature, just these different greens that you grow. They really love those cool nights. And so even though it's hot outside, it is time to think about your fall garden because it can be very fruitful and also very rewarding because in the fall is a nice time to be outside when you're harvesting and pulling those weeds. So you can check either the back of your seed packets for more information. You can also visit different seed companies. One of my favorite is Johnny's Seeds. They have lots of really great blog articles about when to start your seeds, how to start them, what time of the year. And because we're doing these videos, hopefully you all will be inspired to look into that a little bit more. But some of the fall starting things you can either start in your seed starting kits. If you did any of our workshops, you may still have some of your plastic clamshells, your little takeout containers. Just buy a little bit of potting soil, sow the seeds just like you did in the spring, except for this time around, it's for a fall planting. So I find that fall plantings are often more fulfilling because oftentimes the things that I plant in the spring, sometimes it gets too hot before they make a crop, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes the fall crops can be much more fruitful for you in your garden. So this year I'm going to plant radishes and carrots and also some kale. So the radishes and the carrots I'm going to put straight into the soil, and I'm going to sow some seeds every couple of weeks for the next about the next couple of months, so that I will have lots of harvests as we go into the fall. So I will plant those carrots now. I will plant some more in 2 weeks. I will plant some more the next 2 weeks. And so then on the tail end of that, when they come ready to be harvested in September, October, I will have plenty to eat through the fall. I will also plant the kale in a seed starting kit in my house. So just a little takeout container with a lid. And I will sprout those out because I have rabbits that eat everything that is little. And I know that they'll eat my kale. So I started inside first this time of year to be planted outside in about a month when they're bigger. And then hopefully they will be big enough that the rabbits won't consume them in one night. So if you are starting to feel like maybe what you planted in the spring isn't going to turn out that great, or maybe you went on vacation and they all died, you can start over again in the fall. Now is a great time to plant your vegetables. So some of my favorites that I actually have at my house that I'm going to plant are carrots. We have lots of different carrots here at the garden. We have many different varieties, different flavors, different colors. Carrots really come in a lot of different shapes and sizes. So I've picked out a few carrots for my home. You can seed these directly into your garden soil, and all of our seeds have great information on the back, so you will have everything you need. Just get your magnifying glass out and read up on each one. There's lots of radishes. Radishes are a really fast crop. So if you are an impatient gardener like myself, or maybe you have kids or grandkids that you want to garden with, radishes are great. They grow really quickly, they're easy to harvest, and if you harvest them early, they're not quite as spicy. So get those radishes out of the ground before they get too big for a much milder flavor. And then we've got beets. Beets are something that not everybody thinks about, but they actually grow really well here in Tulsa, especially if you plant them in the fall. These can be, well, these should be direct sown in your garden soil. And again, this is one that you could stagger planting. So plant a few of these at the end of July, plant a few at the middle of August, plant a few into September, so that will prolong your harvest. So say you have a packet of seeds, just plant a third every couple of weeks until it's too late. This is a dwarf kale. This one is gonna stay a little bit shorter, so if you do have rabbits, watch out for this one. But it's also a little more ornamental, so this would look great with, say, your pansies. You could plant it right into your landscape. That's something that I like to do, is just put my edibles right in with all my flowers, because I don't have that much garden space, so I gotta pack it all in there. This one is a really excellent variety for fall planting, and you can start it inside if you wish, or you can also direct sow. And again, you can stagger plant these, which is you plant some now, you plant some in a few weeks to extend your harvest. It's also, when you extend your harvest like that, it's like an insurance program. So if something happens to your first round, hopefully that second or third round you plant will have better conditions and they'll make it. So one secret crop that I like to plant towards the end of summer, if you get it in early enough, the green beans, these are gold beans, but it's the same kind of a vegetable. It's like a green bean like you'd find at the store. These are actually a sneaky crop that are pretty quick. So if you get these in before the end of August, you will have a really tasty fall crop of beautiful green beans, or in this case, golden green beans. And I love the fall crop of these because it's not so, I don't know, picking green beans right now, I feel like I get a lot of mosquito bites, but in the fall, it just seems a little bit more chill to be harvesting and working in my garden. And then we've got spinach. Spinach is an excellent fall crop, and if you get a really good patch of spinach, you will be able to harvest this until first frost, and maybe even further depending on what variety of spinach you have and where you live. So spinach is an excellent fall crop to put in, and if you harvest it, so spinach, instead of just picking the whole plant, if you just peel off those bottom leaves and leave the top one, it will just keep growing and growing and growing, and you can keep harvesting. So another great fall crop. They actually love the cool weather, so spinach is an excellent choice in the fall. And then we've got lettuce. Greens are absolutely fantastic in the fall. Because of our hot heat, it tends to give lettuce and other leafy greens like this kind of a bitter taste because of the heat. And so when you plant these in the fall, you should have a much more tender, crispy, flavorful batch of lettuces. So lettuce is an excellent choice for the fall. There are many herbs that also will perform well in the fall here in Tulsa. This one is a variety of fennel, and I have had really good luck in Tulsa with fennel and with parsley in the fall. And I often direct sow this. I often kind of just sprinkle it in my garden and maybe scratch some of it in here and there. And then I just let nature take over. And when it sprouts, and then it just grows. So that is my personal way of sowing these. But also here at the garden, we often get our seed starting kits out and start these seeds and pot them up and then plant them as bigger plants so that we can put them exactly where we want them. So if you are looking for more of a planned garden, definitely start these seeds and then pot them up as a little bit bigger seedlings and then put them outside. They will be just fine as long as you get these in the ground by the end of September. Most things still need a little bit of that summer heat to get their root systems established so that they can make it through the winter. So I would recommend planting this between mid-July and end of September. And then we've got peas. So another one of my favorite things to grow, but here in Tulsa, it is proving challenging to get a good pea crop. So I got a decent harvest this spring, but it wasn't very long lasting because by the time the peas were actually producing pods, it was getting really, really hot. So we had a really good flush, but then we had that 100-degree heat and it was over. So I'm going to try them again in the fall. This packet says 70 days to harvest. So I would say put this one in mid-July to end of August for a fall crop. And if we have a mild winter, you may even be able to pick these into the winter. So give those a shot. It's worth a try. They're really delicious. And like I said, it's fun to garden in the fall and the winter when it's cooler. Many herbs like cilantro are very quick crops. So if you are seeing your tomatoes start to put buds on, you can definitely grow a little bit of cilantro to go with that if you're going to make some salsa. And cilantro, because it is a very quick crop, you can just plant it and harvest it within about a month of planting. So cilantro is not necessarily a very long-lasting crop, but because it is so short, you can do succession sowings where you plant some now, you plant some in a couple of weeks, you plant some a couple of weeks later, so that you will have some herbs throughout the end of the growing season. And then a couple more herbs are more basil. So basil is a little slower to start, but it does love the heat when starting the seeds. So actually now is the perfect time to plant a little basil in your garden. So if your first crop of basil didn't really make it, or your basil has bloomed and is starting to decline, you can definitely start some new seeds. You can either direct sow or start them inside with your little seed kit and a little bit of potting soil, and you'll definitely get a beautiful crop of basil before it freezes. Basil is very cold sensitive, so bring it all in before the last frost, and then it's over. So just keep that in mind. So that was just a rundown of some of my favorite seeds that I'm going to be putting in my garden this fall. We have plenty of seeds here at the Tulsa Botanic Garden, and we actually will be running a sale for the last couple weeks of July and into August. So come to the garden, check it out, and get ready for fall gardening, because the time is now. Even though it's hot outside, it's time to start thinking about your fall garden because the weather's so beautiful. Thank you.